So we welcome everybody to another edition of Redox 5, formerly known as the Asea 5. This is June 30th, 23, for those of you who are dating this. I am Lee Osler. I am a dentist in the state of Washington. That's in the United States. And I am joined with my co-hosts, Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio. We have the financial master and the nutritional master in the house tonight. We excuse our Wicked Dr. Maureen Hayes, who is attending Wicked tonight with her family on Broadway.
And she said hi.
She
said to tell you hi and everybody in the audience hi.
Yeah, she wanted to be here for you, Chuck, but she had I think it was
Mother's Day gift. She
finally
finally
neat is that. Good for her.
She redeemed it. Yes.
Well, I just saw her about 2 weeks ago. She was here in Salt Lake. So
she just made the $1 Million Club too.
Yes, she did.
So exciting.
Awesome. Go ahead, Lee.
Well, she's at Wicked. I can tell you where I would rather be, and that is up in the high mountains of Utah.
Yes, look at it.
Our estimable Chuck Funke is at. He's our CEO of AseaGlobal. He is our guest this evening, and so we're going to have a wonderful time discussing the state of the union, as it were, with Chuck about what is happening at Asea and what he sees for us in the future and about what this whole thing is all about. So we have kind of an inside opportunity to pick the brain of the master who runs the ship, and we're glad to have you.
So we'll be done in a couple of minutes.
Right.
No, there's too much to share.
Welcome. Tell us a little bit about, there's going to be people here that are new to Asea.
Sure.
People from all over the world, so that we have kind of an international flavor to some of this conversation as well. Maybe you could step back in time and maybe give us a high-level view, at least, of how Asea came to be. What is Asea, and maybe kind of where you see it being at now and in the future.
Yes.
Sure. That would be great. And if you see me swatting at something occasionally, it's I'm out in the middle of the woods. And I'd also appreciate if you see anything sneaking up on me from behind to give me a heads up on that too. Yeah.
So that's not a blue screen, I take it.
No, that's
actually
he's all nature.
Where I'm sitting tonight.
It's gorgeous.
I get up here very often, but when I do, it's certainly therapeutic. No, thank you, Lee. So I've known the Norton family, who's the founding family of Asea, for going on 21 years now. Tyler and I first started working together professionally back in 2003 in the financial services industry. His dad had retired from Kraft Foods about that same time and had moved back to Utah. And so I'd known Virtus through Tyler for a number of years. And, Virtus is always, if for those of you who've had the opportunity to know Virtus, you know just how incredible of an individual and intelligent he is. And it was actually through a contact that Tyler and I actually had, someone we worked with in the financial services industry, that asked Tyler to go do some strategic planning for this company. And he asked his dad to go along. And they were introduced to this company, and the long and short of it is they asked Virtus to be on the board. He agreed to do that. He saw some pretty compelling things. They were trying to get some products approved through the FDA, and they had run out of money, which he discovered. And so Virtus raised some capital and bought the technology that ultimately became Asea as we know it. That was about 2009. The way I became involved in Asea. Did you have a question, Jim?
Yeah, Chuck. Did you look at anything back then, or is that just Tyler and Virtus? Because when I hear the story that Tyler shares, the longer version of the Genesis, which is my favorite story of all, he just oh my gosh, Dad, I don't have time for this. If you want to do it, you do it. Did you have any idea what the stuff was back then, or were you
clueless?
Clueless, yeah.
What?
Well, so I I would get tidbits. We used to go to Vertus's and Bonnie's house when we needed to get out of the office and do planning or whatnot, and we'd pick Vertus's brain about stuff and about the business we were in. And then at some point, I remember Tyler starting to tell me that he came across this technology, and they were, looking to put together some small group of investors to buy out the technology. And then it started to become, they got the technology. They're making it now. And then it was, my dad's trying to figure out how to commercialize it. And then a month later, I think my dad's going to start a network marketing company. And then he's really doing this. And, Tyler tells his story of skepticism and my dad's crazy. And why would he be doing this when most people are, looking to go the opposite direction and retire and not start a company. But he was so compelled by what he saw and what this could become that in his, late 60s, he started a company. And so I would hear about it. And the way I became involved in it was, they had asked me a couple different times. They invited me to some fly-ins. They were doing fly-ins a lot back early on in the day. And what really happened was they invited me to the convention in 2011. They said, why don't you come down to convention and just kind of see more about what we're all about. And I'd known about Asea. I'd been to their house. I'd seen the jewelry maker or jewelry cleaner machine.
I was going to ask if you saw that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd seen all of that. I drank it out of the gallon jug bottle, and long before Vertus had even knew it was going to be a network marketing company. And that's a whole story in and of itself as to how Asea ultimately became a network marketing company.
Well, I'd love to hear that soon. So I want to hear that, how they did that, if you don't mind, when you're ready.
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you right now, and then I'll just weave it back into how I personally, ultimately became associated with Asea. Vertus came from as you all know, a retail background. He worked for General Foods, Kraft Foods, worked in retail, was responsible at one time for big box store sales like Costco accounts for Kraft Foods, ran strategy as the head of Kraft Foods. I was responsible for some billion-dollar subsidiary organizations of Kraft Food. And so he had absolutely no idea about network marketing. And in fact, it wasn't until someone actually suggests to him, so he had the technology, he knew he had something, he had seen the research, he knew what the prior company, had seen and was trying to do. And he was trying to figure out a way to commercialize it. Well, you all know on this call as well as anybody that not very many people walking around out there know what redox signaling is. So as a marketer, Vertus knew it would take untold millions of dollars to use traditional marketing mechanisms to try to induce somebody to go down to their health food store or their neighborhood grocery store and go to a shelf and pick this product up and buy it. And so when he started looking at the network marketing model, what he realized very quickly was the product needs to be sold with a story, has to be explained. And as we know now, that no one does that better than network marketers. And so that is ultimately how Asea became. And it's funny because we call Asea a network marketing company. Asea would be really more considered a biotech company, but we distribute our products via network marketing. But network marketing is just how we distribute something. And it's funny how this industry kind of defines itself by its distribution mechanism. But we have never looked back from that decision. And it was the right decision. And it's what's allowed this company to scale to the level that it has and the time that it has, because we're only 13 years old, really, depending on which time you want to use from a soft launch or, a hard opening. That's not very old. And we're in 33 countries.
Yeah.
I came from a company that was 135 years old that had hired me to help them go to Latin America because they had never expanded outside the United States. And so it tells you how fast this industry can scale. And when you look at what he wanted to do, which was to get the product to as many people around the world, after looking at all types of distribution mechanisms, he said network marketing is the best way to do that. And so here we are in 2011. Yeah.
Real quick. Was it on his mind that passing the blessing on to us? Because that to me is as big as the breakthrough, is the ability for people like us who are in a bad financial predicament, like a lot of other Trish and, Terry Latham and, a lot of other people that we know, they were in a financial pickle. And yet Virtus chose to allow us, instead of the family, make all the money, or, the corporate America, like I've always said, but yet he gave that to us. And to me, that's huge. I mean, that's as big as the breakthrough itself, to be able to give thousands of people, eventually millions of people, the opportunity to make a living, to be able to recover your financial dignity. Mm-hmm. So I'm just relaying to you, thank you, because we've been able to salvage and have our financial dignity back. So again,
that's a really interesting observation, because I would tell you, in all honesty, I don't think Virtus understood that at the time. He came to know it and understand it later when he saw it, because again, he didn't know that world. He didn't come from that world.
Right.
But it's not unlike every person I talked to, and we just had the Ascent event in the European Union. We just got back last week, and it without fail, when you talk to a group of, and if I could see everybody and ask everybody on this call, everybody comes to Asea for one of three reasons: the product, the opportunity, or the culture. And what's interesting, and what I would tell you about Virtus, he didn't necessarily set out, Jim, to create financial opportunity for individuals, but immediately saw that that's what this industry was capable of doing. And it's not unlike someone who comes to Asea for the opportunity, which is completely fine, because we do have people that come for the opportunity, but it is impossible to be here for any length of time if you come for the opportunity and not immediately understand and appreciate the power of the products.
Right.
So the same thing happened to Virtus. He got into this and he said, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life, that you can change people's lives from a health standpoint and can literally change people's lives from the business side of it and the earning the living side of it. Whether you want to make $50 a month or $50,000 a month, the industry can allow for that. And that's something that I think as he came to understand that and see that became part of the legacy that he wanted to leave. No question.
That's great.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Can you explain, weaving in your story, why the compliance, why we have to share it the way that we do? And I kind of say here, we all kind of say we have to use code talk. We can't name diseases. Can you kind of go over, there's a lot of new people that may want to know, well, why can't you say that? And why can't you say that? Can you kind of go over that from your perspective, please?
Sure. Yeah.
And I see a few bugs flying around your head, so I don't know if that's just.
That's right. They don't bite. It's
Okay. Yeah, I was worried.
And I'm sorry that my computer keeps moving. I'm balancing it on my knee. So we are registered in the United States as a nutritional supplement. With that comes certain rules as to what you can make with respect to claims. One of the worst things that could happen to this company would be that we be classified as a drug.
Right.
Because if that happens, then this business is done overnight. When you start making medical claims about a product, it opens yourself up to investigation and by both the FTC and the FDA. Now, the FTC is the entity that's been getting all of the press lately about how aggressive they've been and activists they've been, and the FDA hasn't been in the news as much. But we have to walk a very fine line of not doing anything that would cause a regulatory body to look at this product and say, you're a drug, you're curing disease, you're not a supplement. And we walk that line in every market that we operate in, because in 33 different companies, there's probably 5 or 6 different classifications that we're in every market. And we have to, you said there's folks on from Australia.
Yeah.
They can't even say the word Redox. Right. And so I use the analogy of, it's kind of like saying, and the thing teams at Virtus, if you've seen the legacy video about the pharmaceutical company and all that, well, one of the things that Virtus didn't want to have happen was that if you take this the medical route, it can only be used for one indication.
Right.
It can only be used for a certain condition or disease, and it would greatly limit the amount of people who are able to have access to it. So compliance, it's like playing basketball and saying, I want to play basketball, but I want to dribble the ball with both hands at the same time. Well, sorry, you can't do that. And because of the way that we distribute our products and the way that we're classified, you can't make medical claims, even though they're true. If you can benefit from it financially. And that's why associates are held to a different standard, is because if I don't know if you're seeing it a lot right now with this whole concept of influencers. They made a big deal out of Kim Kardashian because she was promoting a certain thing and didn't disclose that she was being compensated for it and was fined. That happens all the time. And so the compliance department's role is to make sure that people understand the rules of the game and that we play the game accordingly. And, part of it is we can say certain things in certain environments. If I was on this call trying to sell you all to purchase Asea, it would dramatically change the way that I could even talk about it. When we're talking in a forum like this, I've had tremendous experiences with the product that would not be as problematic as if I was in a situation where I was trying to sell or induce somebody to join the company or to become an associate or to buy the product. So that's the line that we have to walk. That's why we have to be very careful about the claims that we make, particularly in mass forums, in forums that, and I mean by that, anything that we would say from an official company standpoint, anything that we would put out collateral wise in our marketing that would cross that line. If, and I jokingly said, you're recording the call. Now I can't, say what I otherwise would. I say that jokingly, but there's some element of truth to that, in that you have to know who your audience is at all times.
Right.
And so that's the reason why we have to walk that fine line, because we don't want to run the risk of putting ourselves in a situation where we're having to deal with the FDA or the FTC. The biggest thing right now that the FTC is going after is claims. And claims about, not product claims, about income claims. That's the big hot button right now. We got a letter from the FTC a month ago. We're not special. They sent it to thousands of companies, telling people that you can't be out there claiming that you can make all this money, and companies are getting in trouble for it. Financial disclosures are hugely problematic, and so all of that informs and governs the way that we, have to operate and run the business, particularly from the sustainability standpoint, because you don't want to do anything that might be a short-term gain, but would be, jeopardize the long-term health of the business.
Yeah, that's great.
Summary, Chuck, if I'm hearing you right, from this know your audience perspective, if we're in a closed room and everybody is an existing Asea associate, you're saying that we have a little more freedom.
Sure.
Speak openly about what we're doing, what we're experiencing, and what's happening. Versus if we're in a situation where there may be a non-associate, I'd be a prospecting or a sales-based thing, then we're buttoned down, we're tied down to these rules of not making claims. Is that, just so I make sure people who are listening for the first time understand that accurately?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And, we talk about things at the corporate office all the time that, we would never in a million years put in print. Right. But, and can't. And so, and we know that associates, they share, they talk about the story. We just have to do it in a compliant way. To stay off the radar. It's Ben Tyler, our general counsel and chief legal officer, says, you don't want to be the zebra on the edge of the herd, right?
Yeah.
It's pushing the boundaries. You want to be in the middle of the pack, so that when the lions or the hyenas, i.e. the regulators, come, that you're in a safe position and not out there on the periphery.
And I say something, and Ann's going to say something in a second, but on that exact topic, because when we're working with someone new, Chuck, we do advise always stay compliant, because if I'm uncompliant to a room of just associates, then there's a decent chance they're going to go out, because they're new. They may go out and do it in an uncompliant way in the wrong crowd.
Right.
So we are always promoting stay compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we were, and believe it or not, when we were at the European Ascent event, Ben Tyler was there, our general counsel. He gave a 40-minute presentation on this very issue, because the rules are actually even stricter and the stakes are actually even higher in Europe. Europe is ahead of the US on a number of fronts, claims being one of them, data privacy being another one. They're making everybody's life miserable from there's a law or a regulation called GDPR, Global Data Protection Requirements, that we're having to abide by. And so, it's just one of those things that we have to understand the playing field and play by the rules. And that's our responsibility as an organization to do that. But you're right. People have to understand that you have to know what audience you're in and who's listening. We had an issue in a state a number of years ago that an associate was at a trade show and had set up a booth that no one knew about, and a regulator from the state happened to come by, and this individual made a particular claim, and the next thing I know, I'm up in Helena, Montana, visiting with the regulators, trying to keep us in business in that state. And so, we just have to be careful. But that's why we have compliance. They're not the bad guys. They're on our team. We're all on the same team, and we all want the same thing, which is to keep the business healthy and allow us to keep doing what we're doing.
Cool.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, that's what Jim said. How we share it is how it's going to be replicated, duplicated by our team. So we do make those claims all the time that we don't treat, diagnose, or cure. I'm glad it didn't go as a drug because there is no toxicity. So I love the confidence of sharing it with someone. It's native to the body, so the body's going to receive it well, and it's not going to interact bad with anything they already do in their routine. So, and it does work on numerous things in the body because it's like Lee says in the book, the inner doctor. So the body is now getting that ability to heal itself. And you were talking about network marketing. Thank God we did go that route because you typically will get something from somebody you trust. So if we're sharing our story with someone else and we built a relationship, they're going to inevitably, there's going to be a trust factor. Well, you know what? I need to get started on this. You got your story, look at the change. And to me, that's so much easier than trying to figure out something out there, from somebody you don't know at all. So I love the fact that Tyler focuses on next level marketing. And you were talking about people join for the culture. I mean, why wouldn't anybody that's looking tonight or potentially has, thought about it maybe in the future, maybe they're just a preferred customer, maybe they'll do the business later.
Yeah.
Go with our company because of the ethos, to go with it because of how this company's made and why they chose the people versus the big pharma check. But maybe we could talk a little bit about that, on why people should go with Asea, because our future is so bright. We have so many things to offer. And every time I see our list, we're 43rd listed. When there's the ranking. Yeah. So maybe we can all talk, or mostly you, but talk about our future and talk about the strength of this company, especially for somebody new tonight.
And I'd love to do that. Can I say something though regarding a comment you made a second ago?
Yeah.
I learned something about myself not too long ago. Well, it's been a couple years. Which we never get too old to stop learning. And what I learned was traditional marketing doesn't work on me. I don't know that I've ever seen an advertisement or a commercial that has induced me to want to go buy something. Mm-hmm. But you know what does work on me? Somebody that I know, or respect, or have an affiliation with, telling me about it.
Right.
Why do I wear the kind of shoes I wear? Because somebody told me I should try these shoes. Why do I wear a certain pair of pants? Because my daughter told me, Dad, you need to try these pants. Why do I like a certain type of shirt? It's because somebody told me that I know that these are the greatest shirts that she should ever wear. If I saw it on a commercial, I naturally assume they're trying to sell it to me, and I don't even listen to it. And so that goes right into, again, why network marketing is the perfect model. To answer your question specifically, we actually treat the ethos and culture, which we kind of consume under the same thing, as a product itself. I think that if you have to tell people how, anytime somebody says, hey, you can trust me, that's usually a red flag in my book, right? So I think and hope that people come to know who we are as a company by the way we act, by how sincerely we try to live our mission, which is simply to better people's lives and be a force for good in the world. We do that through a number of ways. We do that through our products. We do that through the ability for people to earn an income and earn a living. And culture is a lot of times what keeps us together.
Definitely.
And believe it or not, I know of people who have been with the company simply because they like the way that they feel when they're around an ASEAN event or something of that nature. But you have to have a solid platform of products, and that's something that we have to remember, is that we have exclusivity on something that nobody else has. And that in and of itself, and you combine that with a company that was started not to run it up artificially and unnaturally and unsustainably and sell it, but to try to grow it profitably year after year after year. And that's one of our core values of sustainability, is that to continue to build on that foundation year after year after year. I think you've heard me say many, many times, it's not hard to grow a business for a couple of years. It is hard to grow a business profitably year after year after year after year. And that's the game. And it has been profitable every year that it's been in existence.
That's super.
Lee, did you want to ask a question?
I just wanted to follow up there with kind of what Ann was saying, and that is the positioning. Maybe you could segue with that comment into where, especially from your kind of corporate oversight perspective, the comment on the positioning that we have in the marketplace, in the economy, in time, because there's people out there, again, who might be new to this or just haven't really thought this through as to why this is significant for them. Why attach why would they want to hook their wagon to this thing, and pull with it? What's the positioning?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, is that we know that when you go out and talk to somebody about this product or this company, you're putting your relationships and your reputation on the line. Okay, that's very sobering, and we take that very seriously. So we don't take that lightly. We are not going to ever do anything that would be of embarrassment or be scandalous. We pay very deep attention to those kinds of things that could be very hurtful to not only the company, but to our associates and the relationships that they have. That's a very serious thing. The other thing is that the accumulated knowledge that has happened over really since about 2009, we talk a lot about patents. The patents aren't really the value. The value is in the trade secrets. And I don't know if any of you who have been through the production plant recently, we're learning things about this product all the time that are taking us into different areas and understanding different things and starting to understand things that we knew the product was doing. We're now starting to understand more why they're doing them. The other thing is that there's no real competition out there as it relates to redox-based products. There will be. There have been some, particularly in Europe. We've dealt with somebody not too long ago just essentially ripped off all of our marketing collateral and started a company, and we had to get involved in that and for violation of trademarks and whatnot. But I mean, we're just a young company, really. I know that in network marketing, it seems like old, but the industry I came from, which, 150 years is, plus these companies were, we are, if anybody's on this call, thinking that, oh, I'm getting in too late. No, you're not. No, you're not. Go down to where people are and ask 10 people if they've ever heard of Asea. And I guarantee you, none of them have, and none of them are going to really know what redox signaling is or redox molecules, which is good and bad, right? It's great because we have the exclusivity on it. The difficulty is people have to understand it. And so it's a two-edged sword. But there's never been a better time, from the science understanding, from some of the stuff that you're starting to see with respect to the leveraging of technology. We're relooking at the claim sets that we're making on things. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily pushing boundaries, but we've been a very conservative company with respect to what we've said. We're not a flashy company. The presentation I gave in Europe recently was very along these same lines. Is why is Asea a safe place? We're very fiscally conservative. We don't have any debt. We've financed this entire company out of cash flow. So we don't owe anybody any money, which has proved to be an enormous asset during the pandemic. And there's companies in our space that are having to refinance massive amounts of money, just to make payroll. I got asked one time when I was pretty new at Asea, at one of my first meetings, a woman asked me, has Asea ever missed a commission payment? And I said, I'm sorry? She goes, has Asea ever missed a commission payment? I said, no. Is that something that's happened to you? And she goes, oh, it happens all the time in this industry. And I was like, well, I didn't know that. So maybe some of you who are more experienced network marketers know that a lot of companies come and a lot of companies go in this space. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've had people in my office, not so much anymore, but early on, back in 2014, 15, people in my office saying, oh, this is the company, you got to watch this company. And half the time I would ask them, how is that not a Ponzi scheme? I don't even understand how that's even legal. But, they're the one that's growing. They've got the hockey stick, growth curve that goes like this. And there's always the prevailing cliff afterwards. So we will take consistent, steady growth year over year, all day long, versus having some type of hyper growth event. We want to grow, but we don't want to grow unnaturally. And you can do that.
Yeah.
Very reassuring.
Yeah, we do want to get back into your story, but on that topic,
story.
Forget it. So I've seen, as a stockbroker past, I've seen so many companies that did grow too fast, but yet we hear all the time, Chuck, if this stuff is real and it really does all this stuff, why doesn't everybody know about it? And I think that's something that Virtus did in the beginning intentionally, and I'm sure you and obviously Tyler, but staged growth. You have to have the foundation. Your foundation has to be rock solid. And we've been here 8 years. And that's one thing that we have seen is very deliberate getting, the associate support and all of those things in place. And now, what we call our back office and front office, and that's so that's really critical. So I'm really thankful that we did, because I've seen way too many companies that just took off, like you said, like the hockey stick, and within several years they're gone. So any thoughts on that?
Well, one thing is that there was such demand for Asea to go to a lot of countries very early on that we went pretty quick. I would tell you maybe too fast. You'll notice that we have not opened a market in over 2 years. That's by design. We have been shoring up the markets that we are in. We're in 33 countries, and have 7 regional offices around the world that we have to manage. And there were some things that we needed to get right and get in order before we did not want to take this as a scorched earth mentality. We needed to do a better job at supporting some of the markets that we were in. Now our vision statement is to, become the recognized global leader in redox-based and cellular health technologies and take our products, opportunity, and culture to the world. Well, that's still what we want to do, but that's not time bound. That doesn't say that it has to be done by, 2 years from now. And so we have to be, to some degree disciplined about we could argue all day long about, is international expansion, is that a growth? Is that a sustainable growth model? And some countries, that are younger than us are actually in more countries. But when I say 33 countries, that's 33 countries where we are legitimately operating as a business. We have whatever business licenses are required. If an MLM license is required, the products are registered. We're not talking about NFR or shipping product in. We don't count anything like that. And so, there's growth and there's profitable growth. And like I said, sustained profitable growth year over year over year is the real trick. And so we say, why hasn't everybody heard about Asea? Well, how is Asea distributed? We don't take out ads.
Right.
The basic concept of network marketing, really, if you get right down to it, is that you take the money that would be spent in traditional marketing channels and you pay it as commissions.
Yeah.
To people. You pay it to individuals. So individuals become your marketing. And so we grow as fast together. So the more people that join the company, the faster we grow. The more people who are out sharing the story, the faster we will grow. We have the capacity to do more than what we are currently doing. I mean, we would take certainly more growth. It's not like it would sink the ship. We have the
Right.
infrastructure to support it. And what we have to do is make sure that we keep those two things in their proper balance, because you have to manage growth to some level as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Which seems counterintuitive.
Right.
Can you talk? There's a lot of people out there, Chuck, that have done networking. We didn't. This is our first rodeo. We had never done anything else. But can you talk to the people out there that may be considering looking at this opportunity with the most amazing breakthrough technology ever? To the people that have been hurt, like the lady that said that she missed a commission check, what would you say to them to get them, besides listening to you, which should convince anybody to join? You're so handsome and all that stuff.
Jim, you're a funny guy. I'll give you a couple. One, I would say, are the people on this call. We have incredibly dedicated, loyal field associates, and basically people who are out to make a quick buck, or scammers don't like it here and don't last here.
Mm-hmm.
They don't fit. Number two, I would say, is we have an incredibly dedicated corporate team. People that you'll likely never meet or know, who get up every day and are incredibly dedicated to their particular jobs across the board, right down to the person who cleans the production facility. Asea has been recognized for, I think, 8 years in a row as one of the best companies to work for in the state of Utah.
Yes.
So those two things, our associates, our employees. The third thing I would say is our products are legitimate. We don't spend time anymore trying to prove the legitimacy of the product. For those of you who have been here for a long time, for a number of years, we had to try to convince people it just wasn't salt water. Okay, we're past those days, right? Those days are long gone, long behind us. The product speaks for itself. So we have an incredible product set. I would tell you next would be what I talked about earlier, we don't have any institutional investors. We don't have anybody who has the ability to come in and change the direction of this company unilaterally. Nobody has unilateral authority. We don't have any debt,
Right.
and we are fiscally very, very conservative.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
why that's what I would tell somebody who has been burned in this industry before. That, and by the way, we're not flashy either. I mean, we
Yeah.
get told we're boring all the time. But that's okay.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad we're not, the flashy cars or whatever,
Yeah.
and the on stage hoopla. It shows that genuine side, and that this is not, we're not
People
going
really care.
anywhere, and this is something you can do long term. I'm amazed that our company, unlike many companies since 2020, there's so many of them that have closed the doors. Even corporate America is having to make changes once people started working from home. Here we can work anywhere in the world, have a phone or an iPad or a computer, and you could really run the business wherever you are. And that's pretty amazing that, we don't have to mess with processing of payments. We don't have to have stock stuff on our shelf. The fulfillment is all done in Utah. Seamless, simple, professional, and it's just exciting. And then y'all rolled out this year with the mask. I don't know what kind of comments you get about it or how much you like, but
You're obviously using it,
we-
aren't you, Chuck?
I
we
love
lo-
the mask.
Yes, the mask is fabulous. There's so many great stories, and then now our
Yep.
new radiance. And so here we're able to position, attract people by the skin cells changing, which could lead them to the redox signaling, the stuff they don't understand, but we'll draw them for the skin, which is a billion-dollar industry, and multi-billion, and then a roundabout way they'll learn about learn about the liquid, learn about the other products we have, the nutraceuticals, the self-performance. So I'm just excited how we're all positioning and what's going to come out new in September.
Chuck, I was never the healthiest guy on the planet. I grew up on a farm, eating the way we eat in northern or in southern Ohio. But I am when we joined, we had two products, the
Right.
gel and the liquid.
Yeah.
Healing inside out, outside in.
Yep.
And I was a little bit, oh no, we're going to be like everyone else when we brought out the facial care and then the nutraceuticals, but yet it all fits.
Yeah.
Where do you see things going from here on? Because it's all about the health of your body, and you have to give it everything it needs to be able to keep you healthy. Where's the future? Where's it going?
I don't think, I think we will stay in the cellular health and redox space. We're not going to probably be looking to launch many Me Too products. We've got a number of things underway that our most successful products still are the first two products that you started with. We're starting to see, great things with all of our products. I don't know if this is a medical claim or not, but I've been drinking Radiance now for probably 3 months, just because I had access to it. I can't get my fingernails to stop growing. I have to clip my fingernails 3 times a week.
That's awesome.
Driving me nuts.
And they're stronger. They're stronger. They're not brittle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the toes are the worst because it's hard to reach them. The toenails.
Right. So to answer your question directly, I don't see us being a company. There's companies out there that will launch 15 products at a convention. It's a big deal that we've launched 2 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for us.
Great and great products, by the way, as well. Great technologies.
Well, and the only one with redox signaling in that mask. No one else can say that they have the clay bentonite and the Renew 28 doing what it needs to do to help the body heal. So to me, I don't consider it a me too. And I've studied the nutrition and the ingredients in the CP. Even that is so different because we're focusing on is redox potential.
Yeah.
And that's what Lee teaches in his book, Healthy Matters, is living a lifestyle that's around redox.
Lee, were you going to ask a question?
Well, I wanted to just comment on something he was saying and maybe have him elaborate because, for those who come to this show every Friday night and enjoy hearing kind of the medical orientation of the health orientation here tonight, we haven't done that. This has been more of an inside baseball. We've kind of dove into the deep catacombs of the inner workings. And one of the things that jumped out at me was we've talked a lot about stability, company stability, and bragging on why this is a stable venture. And people might wonder, well, why is that important? And maybe Chuck, you can actually readdress this just a little bit. The comment that you made of someone wondering if the company had missed any checks, that's a real thing out there. And coming at it from my perspective, if my livelihood, if my income streams, if my home, environment was dependent on this, and suddenly it went away for decisions that I don't have control over, then that's a big deal. And so, reflecting on that as a consumer, reflecting on that as an associate, as someone who's building an income stream with this, I just wanted to say thank you, for one, for the attention to that detail and for honoring that space where we can trust that our futures will be protected as well. I wanted to just highlight that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you feel it every time you introduce somebody to the company. We certainly feel it. It's sobering. We had our summer employee party just this past week where all the employees bring their families, and you look around in the world and realize the number of people that count on this product for their health and count on this company for their income. That's a pretty sobering thing.
Yeah.
It's a sobering thing for sure.
We're thankful.
Can you kind of touch on We Power Potential?
Yeah, so we actually spent a lot of time. That's the theme of our convention. So hopefully everyone who is on this call, if you're not signed up for convention, you'll be there.
Yes.
So that was something that we actually spent a lot of time on. We Power Potential. So we have a mission statement, which is basically, why do we exist as an organization? Our vision statement is what we aspire to become. Our core values are the behaviors that drive who we are and how we operate. We Power Potential is actually something called a brand promise. And I may be getting too technical, but a brand promise is the experience that a person should expect to have every time they interact with the company. And so We Power Potential is, we believe that every interaction someone has with our products, with the company, with the opportunity, that is powering their potential to be more, to become. It ties all back into believe, belong, become. A lot of people believe, a lot of people belong, and now a lot of us are on that journey of what are we becoming. I will tell you this, probably one of the most fulfilling things from the opportunity I have to sit where I sit in the company is seeing the good, that is done and the lives that are changed by this company. I truly believe that you can make of your life what you wish. And we all look at success differently. We all have different metrics for it, and we all have different, values associated with those things. But Asea can meet you wherever you are. It's a very neat thing to see people's lives really, really benefited. And I would add the foundation to that as well. The foundation has done and continues to do some pretty incredible things around the world. And if you don't know, the Advancing Life Foundation is funded by our associates and our employees and is matched dollar for dollar by Asea, the company, and all of the operational costs to the foundation are paid for by Asea. So every dollar that's donated goes to a cause. So, it's a great thing to be a part of. It's a company that you can be proud to be a part of.
Yes.
You know what?
Thankful for that.
What's so hard is people have given up dreaming. I kind of just wrote down, it's all about mindset, and it's why not me? Why can't I do this? There's nothing holding us back. And Chuck, that was when Ann and I went to our first convention in Orlando, and we saw people walking across the stage, and we met all these amazing people. We just kind of, why not us?
That's right.
If they did it, we can. And it just breaks my heart that there's so many people that are stuck. They've conformed. They've settled. And it just breaks my heart. And I wish, with shows like this, that we could just give people the mindset. And it's just a switch, just kind of like Redox flips the switch, the genetic coding. But I wish it could flip that switch to get people to believe that they can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And we've seen it. And I've actually think it's been accelerated by the pandemic. The pandemic did something to people's outlook, even the way they view work. The way the work.
He's stuck. Okay, you stuck for a second, Chuck. You stuck for about 2 seconds.
I said, I think I think that something happened during the pandemic that accelerated what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to see anti-work, anti-success, corporations are evil. And, you're starting to see more and more of that. And so, and companies can do bad things, but companies can also do remarkable things. And organizations are nothing more than people. Companies aren't, out there walking around doing things. It's people out there walking around doing things. And so, I couldn't agree with you more that there seems to be a loss of hope and a loss of dreaming and a loss of that. Hey, I have a say in how my life goes.
Amen.
And I'm not a victim of my circumstances.
Yeah.
Lee?
I think more people are looking for options ever since 2020. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lee, you think?
Yeah.
We're at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
And I could go on. Chuck, I really do appreciate this. And I wish we could maybe get you a little bit more often. This is a down to earth, like someone said, it's a raw, honest, conversation with the head of Asea. And so it's just really cool. And I want to thank you. Lee, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've been changed by the pandemic, and there's a noted futurist, Joel Barker, who said that when the paradigm shifts, everything goes back to zero. Mm. And so we all have an equal starting place. It's like if you were having a hard time making success in another field or arena or whatever, when this paradigm shifts, when the worldview shifts, when the pandemic hits us and makes things be different, we can all start over and be at zero again and have a bright future. So I want to say thank you, Chuck, for being with us and for putting up with that, terrible location that you're at. It was just incredible watching you enjoy that while you were doing this instead of being in your office. So thank you for giving us some inspiration tonight.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's always
great.
it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much, and we appreciate what you do. And trust me, I have a great appreciation for the difficulty of your job. Most people don't know this about me, but I started my career selling insurance, and biggest sale I ever had was knocking doors. That was back in the day when people would still answer their doors.
Yeah, no gates,
And
no buzzers.
The biggest commission I ever made was knocking doors in the neighborhood to sell insurance policies. So I have a great appreciation for what you all do. So thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
All we do is share from our heart. It's up to them on how they receive it. So this was invaluable, Chuck. Thank you. Can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're
it's gonna be great.
Thomas.
Yeah. So guys, this video will be up at redoxmatters.com. Next week we have Dr. Ed De La Rosa.
Yeah.
We've had him on once before. He has got a amazing, life-changing story. So we'll be going over that with him.
Yep.
So Chuck Funke, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you. We love y'all.
Have a happy 4th.
Have a happy, safe 4th of July. Chuck, I pray you get home safe.
Yeah.
And
enjoy your time.
I gotta make it back. I gotta make it over that hillside.
Oh shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Before it's dark.
Is that your little special sitting area right there, or did you just kind of pick it?
No, I picked it because the Wi-Fi was working here. I was on with Susan, my assistant, for a couple hours today trying to find a spot that I could actually get the signal to work. So
great.
Well, that got you out of the office a little bit early because you had to go find a good hotspot location.
Exactly
Thanks
right.
again.
Exactly
all right, guys.
Hey, happy 4th of July, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Too.
God bless.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Be well. Bye-bye.